The 35th annual edition of Wrestlemania was certainly a night to remember, as it created a number of Wrestlemania moments that will be remembered for a long time. The architect Seth Rollins walked out of the MetLife Stadium as the new WWE Universal Champion, ending Lesnar's subpar reign. Kofi Kingston's 11-year journey to success reached its peak after defeating Daniel Bryan to become WWE Champion, and the man Becky Lynch conquered both Charlotte Flair and Ronda Rousey, winning the Raw and SmackDown Women's Championships. So, with all that in mind, the Raw after WrestleMania was surely going to be epic. Well, it kinda was, as we finally saw the main roster debut of Lars Sullivan, where he decimated Olympic gold medalist Kurt Angle in the ring. The long-awaited return of Sami Zayn, who has been out of action since last year's Money in the Bank pay-per-view, where he was defeated by Bobby Lashley and underwent surgery to repair both his rotator cuffs. Zayn is still fully in his heel persona after he berated the New York crowd for being toxic, after suffering a defeat from the newly crowned Intercontinental Champion Finn Balor, who made a spectacular return as the Demon King at the Show of Shows. Former Women's Champion and WrestleMania host Alexa Bliss also returned to action, where she faced off against Bayley and even managed to get the win. Sadly, even though we got all of these returns and great moments from WrestleMania, we had a bittersweet ending to Raw, as with all the runs in WWE, they must come to an end sooner or later, and though they didn't air the segment on television, those at the Barclays Center got to see both Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns give their Shield brethren a final goodbye, as this episode of Raw marked Dean Ambrose's final appearance in the WWE. Of course, last but certainly not least, we saw the return of The Undertaker, who hasn't been seen or heard from since tagging with his brother Kane to face D-Generation X at the Crown Jewel event last year. During a musical performance by Elias, he was interrupted again, but this time, instead of a doctor coming out, a dead man did. When that first bell hit, the crowd went into a frenzy. Taker would make his way down to the ring to meet with Elias. He looked to be in great shape, dropping some weight and toning up his body. Elias looked like he wanted to tussle it up with the Phenom, but just as it looked like Elias was going to walk away, he rushed at him but got a boot in the face for his troubles. Taker then gave him a chokeslam and ended with a tombstone piledriver, with the crowd shouting 1, 2, 3, even though it wasn't an official match. After speculation of retirement and not appearing at WrestleMania, something he hasn't done in the last 18 years, why did the dead man finally show up, and why did he confront Elias? Well, we have 3 reasons why. Number 1. Elias has called him out several times. Elias has been vocal on who he'd love to face next, and The Undertaker is at the top of his list. Speaking on SiriusXM's Busted Open Radio, he mentioned, "It's gonna sound kinda crazy, but Elias is such a character in a day and age where I feel like we've got a lot of wrestlers, and I'm not saying one thing's better than the other, but for me, I think a big character like a feud with John Cena would be fantastic. A feud with The Undertaker would be fantastic. I know I'm putting myself in the realm of these guys who obviously have this legendary status, I understand that, but that's the kind of thing I need." Well, Elias got what he wanted, and even though there haven't been official matches, he's been interrupted by John Cena, who appeared at WrestleMania as his earlier self, the Doctor of Thugonomics, and now The Undertaker. When speaking on WrestleZone's radio show, he mentioned his dream matches, saying, "It's really about big stars and big moments. I've had a lot of great moments. WrestleMania, where all eyes around the world are on you there. At WrestleMania, I'd love to wrestle John Cena. I've got a lot of issues with that guy. I've got a lot of issues with The Undertaker. I'd love to take The Undertaker out. I think the Living Truth versus the Dead Man is a great story there. Those are 2 guys I have in my sights right now, and one way or another, I'd like to get a hold of them right now." His desire to wrestle these legends leads us to believe, number 2, he will have a feud with Elias. Whilst The Undertaker hasn't fully retired from in-ring competition, he makes only a handful of appearances throughout the year, making for a much lighter schedule that accommodates his age, and let's be fair, it showed last night. In fact, his receding hairline seems to be getting worse than Baron Corbin's. However, hairstyle faux pas aside, we should be seeing The Undertaker back in the ring to wrestle his next match very soon. It won't be at a regular WWE pay-per-view though, as his next match is reserved for June's Saudi Arabia pay-per-view. According to Dave Meltzer at the Wrestling Observer newsletter, The Undertaker will definitely be a part of WWE's next show in Saudi Arabia. There is currently no name for it, and there has been surprisingly zero promotion for it yet by WWE. But as history has shown, such in the case of Rusev, it's pretty clear that Elias won't be getting a rub from The Undertaker, and rather it's sad that Elias will be counting the lights for him. And number 3. A little bit of heat. Apart from the notion that WrestleMania 35 would have clocked in at over 8 hours had The Undertaker appeared at the show of shows, since his entrance alone is about 15 minutes, the reason for his lack of appearance could be down to a little bit of backstage heat with Vince McMahon, as the WWE chief was reportedly furious with Taker earlier this year after he appeared at Starrcast 2 in Las Vegas, a convention that had some association with WWE's rival company All Elite Wrestling. With Taker being one of the most loyal WWE superstars to Vince, he was probably taken aback when he was aware of Taker's dealings outside of WWE. The Undertaker was around on WrestleMania, so WWE could have potentially used him. But perhaps he rubbed up WWE's head honcho the wrong way, thus resulting in leaving him off the card for the first time in 18 years. But what did you guys think of The Undertaker's appearance and starting a feud with Elias? Let us know in the comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.